So you want to start leading other people. The big question is, where exactly do you start? Hi, my name is Ricky Garcia. Welcome to Growth in 10, where the focus is growth within the body, the mind, and the spirit. And here's what we do every single segment. We take 10 minutes and we talk about one of these specific areas. And today we're talking about the mind. And there's a question that we are answering. The question is, if I want to be a leader, if I want to lead others, where do I start? This is a huge question for a whole lot of people now. And let me tell you why that is. You see, in the past, there was a certain mindset, and the mindset was, I want to, within people, I want to get an education. I want to get a good job. I want to be able to afford the home. I want to be able to afford the vehicle, the two-car garage. I want to, have a healthy family. Eventually, maybe even buy a boat, have a dog. And at the end of all that, when it's all said and done, want to be able to retire comfortably. And that was a mindset for a whole lot of people, but there has been a switch recently. You see, people will no longer, not that there's anything wrong with it if that's the mindset, but people are starting to change. You see, they're not okay with just retiring comfortably at the end of everything. Now they want to know that what they did with the time that they were given, that they actually made an impact in somebody's life, that what they did actually mattered. This is very different from how people used to operate before. So what people are saying, they're basically saying now, I want to have influence. Now let's talk about this for just a little bit, because the definition of leadership is influence. So when you hear somebody say, I want to be a leader, I want to lead, I want to step up, I want to do more, I want to make a difference, what they're basically saying is, I want to have influence. And here's the truth. Somebody that is leading 100 people versus somebody that is leading one person has more influence. That person leading 100 people, they have greater leadership ability because they have more influence in more people's lives. Years ago, I came across a quote that has stuck with me to this day, and it's actually my favorite quote. It's by a gentleman named P.J. O'Rourke, and he said, everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to do the dishes. Everybody wants to know that what they did matters. They want to have influence, but there's very few people that actually get there. Have you ever talked to somebody and, they begin to mention their hopes and their dreams, and out of nowhere, their face starts to kind of light up, and they might even get a little bit emotional about it, but you can hear it in their voice. There's their excitement. You can see it all over them. They're excited about what they're talking about. But let me follow up with this question. How many people do you know that have actually achieved their hopes, their dreams, their goals? The scale is very different versus people that have, they have hopes and dreams versus people that have actually achieved those hopes and dreams. The scales are very, very imbalanced. And the question is why? If everybody wants to save the world, then why aren't more people saving it? There's a gentleman mentioned plenty of times in my favorite book, and his name is David. David was known as the greatest king that Israel ever had. And at the time that he was recognized as king, I want you to get this, he was 14 years old. The time that he was told, you're going to be the next king of Israel. 14 years old, imagine that. Now, when he actually took his rightful place on the throne, he was 30 years old. So we're talking about he was about 30, believed to be 30. There is about a 15, 16-year gap from when he was recognized as the next king of Israel to when he took his place on the throne, 15, 16 years. But the thing I love about David, the reason he's one of my favorite men in history is because David wrote a lot. He was known as a poet. He was known as a writer. And he writes some of these battles. He writes a lot of these battles, both external battles and internal battles that he actually had to go through. David didn't sit around when he was 14 all the way till he was 30 because, well, I'm going to be the next king of Israel. So I know that I'm going to have this, this place of authority, this place of influence. So I might as well just kind of sit and wait until that happens. That wasn't David's mindset. I believe that if that was his mindset, he would have never actually became the king of Israel. There's no way. You see, there's a lot of people that, when we talk about the hopes and the dreams, there's an excitement to it. But you know what's the difference here is I see David and I see his writings. I read his story. And he attacked the things that he needed to change. He didn't shy away from the battle. He ran into battle, both physically actually and internally. He attacked those things. But what I see with most individuals, and I'm just being honest here and kind of sharing my mindset and my heart here. We talk about growth, but most individuals enjoy watching Netflix more than they look at self-development. Most people rather sit through the new Call of Duty that just came out and spend hours, playing that than working on their craft. Most people rather scroll mindlessly through social media and responding and just being engulfed in that world more than they care about their own personal growth. There's a problem. TD Jakes, he said something. TD Jakes is he has one of America's largest churches, and he's not just a pastor or bishop. He's known as an entrepreneur. He's known as a director of films. This is a man that has achieved quite a bit in his lifetime so far, and he's obviously a man of great influence. He is leading tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of individuals. So he has some pretty big influence. And he made a statement. I was watching one of his leadership conferences, and what he was talking about leadership. And he said, leadership doesn't start off on the stage. You see, many times we think that once we arrive, once we have been given a position, once we have a level of authority, once we get that promotion at work, once we're put in charge of people, then we begin to have actual influence. Now we can be a leader. T.D. Jakes says, leadership doesn't start off on the stage. Leadership starts in the pews. You see, right where you're at right now, just because you're given a position, if you want to have influence in somebody's life, just because you're actually given that position to have influence doesn't mean that people are going to be following you. They can follow you out of fear. You can be put in charge of them, but it doesn't mean that they're going to respect you or even want to learn from you. If we're talking leadership and what it is, it means that people, because you have influence in their life, people want to learn from you. They want to be around you. They want to be you. They want to develop your qualities. They want to have your character. They want to have your skills. That's what someone's saying. When they're saying, I want to follow you, they're saying, I want to go where you are going. I'm willing to travel with you to get to that destination. Because so far, if I look at your life, I like where you're headed. That's what people are saying when they want to follow you. Now, I believe that we have an understanding of what leadership is. Leadership is having influence, right? Now, I want to answer the question, where do you start? If I give you 3 or 4 different things in these 10 minutes that we have, what I believe is that you're going to forget most of the information. But if I can give you just one thing that you can apply right now, today, I believe that it can stick with you. You can actually make this segment can actually make a difference in your life. Now, here's the nugget that I want to share with you. It's going to sound shallow at first, but I promise I'll go deeper with it. Stick with me here. Leadership doesn't start off when you finally arrive at a position. It doesn't start off when you finally get a promotion. It's none of those things. Leadership starts with you right now, today. If you want to lead other people effectively, you have to start by leading yourself effectively. Now, here's the question that might come to your mind now. How do I start leading myself? And we're talking about the topic of leadership. There is an incredible amount of topics that fall under the umbrella of leadership. But I want to share this illustration. And while I'm sharing this illustration, I ask that you be totally honest with yourself, okay? I'm going to do my very best to paint a picture for you. And as I'm doing that, select one thing that you have to develop within yourself. Now, let's say, here's the illustration for you. Let's say that wherever you work right now, whether you work at a bank, you work at a church, you work at a school, maybe you're working at a store, wherever it may be that you find yourself right now, out of nowhere, everybody in that organization is magically fired. Everybody. But to replace all those individuals, here's what they do. They duplicate you magically. They duplicate exactly who you are, all your skills, all of your qualities, all of your character flaws, everything. It's you, the whole package. It's you. Here's the question I have for you. How would that organization run? I can't answer that question for you, but you can answer that question for yourself. Think about it for just a second. Would people be arriving late? It's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is when we're supposed to be at work or show up. And, everybody is strolling up at 8:15. There'd be a massive issue. and everybody's strolling up at 8:15 because there's a discipline issue, because they stayed up watching whatever it may be till late night, now till way late in the night. And now when it's time to actually wake up, I mean, you feel all groggy and tired. It's like, just 10 more minutes, right? We snooze, just 15 more minutes, just 5 more minutes. And we just keep hitting that button. That's what we're used to. Would there be a problem with procrastination? Would projects not be getting done because they're being pushed further and further back? Would there be a problem? Now, this one might kind of hit you just a little bit. Would there be a problem with gossip within your organization? Would people have it out with each other? Would people be fighting all the time? Would people be in each other's offices, in the boss's office, constantly complaining about the coworker that's talking about them? Remember, these are all duplicates of who you are. Would there be a massive lack of skill? Would there be things that are not able to be accomplished because of a lack of the skills that are needed to be able to accomplish those things? Now, I want you to select just one of those things. Now, once you have that specific topic, once you have that one thing that has to be developed within you, because remember, leadership starts with you right now, today. You can't possibly teach someone something that you don't know. You can't take someone somewhere that you have not been yourself. Leaders know the way, leaders go the way, and then ultimately leaders show the way to others. That's why it's so important that you develop yourself right now, today. Now, once you have that one thing, I want you to have a different mindset on this. I want you to have a growth mindset. And a growth mindset says that I am no longer okay with being who I am currently. I want to be who I'm focusing on who I want to be. There has to be an aggression. Just like David, there has to be an aggression to enter that battle, because your time clock is ticking, man. We only got a certain amount of time that we are given. How much influence can you have? What difference can you make? Start right now, today. Attack that. If it is a lack of discipline, man, set an alarm for when you have to go to bed. Like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I don't know what it is, 11 o'clock, whatever your schedule may be. But that you have to go to bed at a certain time so that you can wake up refreshed and actually spring out of bed and be at work, not at 8:15, but at 8 o'clock, because that's the way that you would want your organization to run. Maybe it's a problem with procrastination. Write things down. In your office, in your notebook, wherever it may be, start writing down your goals or what you have to, your to-do list, and start marking things out and make sure that you are on top of that. Maybe it's a problem with, time being wasted at work, and your organization would work that way. People kind of just hanging around and not getting their duties done. Go to your boss. This is a tough one. Go to your boss and tell them to keep you accountable with your time at work. Be aggressive about the things that you want to change. If you know that there's a skill that needs to be developed within yourself, man, start reading up on that skill. Go to YouTube as you're doing right now. If you want to learn how to bake, you can find it on YouTube. If you want to learn how to write a book, you can find it on YouTube. You can find everything. You want to fix your car, you can find it on YouTube. So there's no excuse for a reason why you cannot learn a certain skill. And here's the last thing I want to tell you. Anybody that has ever achieved their hopes and their dreams will all tell you the exact same thing. They didn't sit around from the ages of 14 to 30 waiting for it to happen. They attacked it, but they attacked it consistently. Without consistency, this cannot possibly work. Day in and day out, decide to make a change. That one thing that you selected, attack it every single day. Listen, if this time brought any kind of value to you, I encourage you to share it with somebody, share it with a friend, coworker, on your social media, wherever it may be. And I would also love for you to subscribe so that you can know when the next video is coming out. Actually, to help with knowing when the next video comes out, turn on your notifications for this video. And I hope that this time brought value to you. And remember, the focus is people.